Hi, my name is Martin Lindstrom. I'm the New York Times bestselling author of Biology and my latest book, Small Data. Now, I don't need to tell you, the world is in a global meltdown, but it's not the first time we tried something similar to this, perhaps in a smaller scale, taking place in 2008. Now, you probably also remember how the US car industry were in a meltdown as well, and how the US government basically bailed them out in order to survive. But there was one car brand which actually did something completely opposite, something I think you and I can learn about as we undergo this corona crisis right now. And what they did was to understand what is the underlying root cause for consumers' behavior. You see, the car industry in general thought that people didn't have the money, so they would lower the prices. And really, it wouldn't generate any sales. Instead, Hyundai went the opposite way and learned one fascinating insight. They learned that consumers indeed had the money, they're just afraid of using them in case they would lose their job. And that was the birth of the Hyundai warranty, a simple guarantee that if you were to lose your job, you could just return your car and Hyundai would return the money, no questions asked. And this is my point, because what happened later on was fascinating. In fact, sales of Hyundai cars went up 12 and 14% in 2008 and 2009. And I had the chance to catch up with the CEO of Hyundai a couple of years later, and I asked him how many cars were actually returned. And the answer was 5. And that's my point. Don't necessarily pursue the obvious. Instead, figure out what the underlying root cause is and design your product or your service or your proposition around it. The most important thing is you understand why and how consumers behave differently. Good luck in this crisis. And by the way, I hope to see you somewhere else in the world where I'd love to continue the conversation on the WOBI stage about how to handle a crisis, how to prepare for it, and most importantly, what to do once the crisis is over.